And we have to discuss the quarterback. We have to talk about one Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was finally on the practice field again. He was listed as limited, and that's the way the Eagles phrased it. Now, when Sunday rolls around, we'll be looking at almost a month since the last time he played real snaps in a full game. Of course, he took 11 snaps against the Commanders, but that wasn't really, a four-quarter effort. So his last full game would have been against Pittsburgh on December 15th. The Packers game is January 12th, close to 4 weeks. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. Are you worried at all about Jalen being rusty? Because I don't have any fear about that whatsoever. I don't find it alarming even a little. Because all I know this season is winning football. I've seen 14 wins this year and a second seed in the NFC and a team that is in the mix with all of the best Super Bowl odds type of teams. They are right there with the best of them. And all season long, I've seen the Eagles start out slow to some degree. The nature of the beast with this football team is looking at the 4 quarters in totality and their ability over those 4 quarters to drain the energy tank of the opponent is real. Wait until it's the second half. Wait until Saquon's yards per carry rise behind this offensive line. So even if Jalen is rusty, even if he does need a quarter or two to get back into rhythm, to take a few hits, to read the defense in a timely fashion, if you will. Even if that is the case, all year long, they've struggled out of the gate. But something that this team does a masterful job of doing is they seem to see what other teams game plan and then find a way to counter it, offensively and defensively. Think about it like this. When the Birds went on the road to face Los Angeles, all week long, I had to hear that Sean McVay now has Puka Nacua back, has Cooper Kupp, and he is going to have a party. This man is going to find ways to dial up an insane amount of creativity over Vic Fangio's defense. And once the first 2 drives were finished, then Vic Fangio put on a show. He said, "What party are you having? I'm partying." And Vic Fangio had all the answers. This team has done that on both sides of the ball since the bye week. So even if they struggle out of the gate, Jalen Hurts being a big reason why, and let's say they don't have the flow that you would love with a 70-yard drive to kick things into gear to start off with a first quarter touchdown on the opening drive, that's okay. Let's say they go 3 and out. That's okay. Because when it's all said and done, and when the game is wrapped up, I have so much belief in Jalen figuring it out mid-game, Kellen Moore figuring it out mid-game, Saquon and this offensive line being something that you lean on massively. I'm not trying to make it seem like Jalen isn't a big part of this team's success, because he is. And I have a lot of faith in his greatness once he finds himself again after not playing for almost 4 weeks. I'm just letting you know there's many different ways that this team can do it. They have so many different paths to winning, which is why they are so dangerous. So even if Jalen does start out with a little bit of a hiccup, with a little bit of sloppiness, with maybe not the strongest Jalen Hurts because he's rusty, that doesn't scare me a lick, because I have so much faith in who they have shown me they are over 18 weeks of football, over 17 games, they are great. They are elite. They are dominant in so many different areas. Not many teams can overcome rust from the quarterback. This team can. And, just to be clear, I also feel by the second half, Jalen can get back into form, too. It's not as if we don't need him. We do need him. But I think there are ways to hold the fort down until he starts to show that he's getting out of that funk. And it's sort of been their bread and butter all year long. How come they can't score? How come they're not getting first quarter points? Why is it taking until the second half to turn on the Jets? Well, they overwhelm you. That's why. The wear and tear over the 4 quarters is really draining. And once you get to that second half, you don't have the conditioning to compete at the level that Lane Johnson does, that Jalen does, that Saquon does, that AJ does. It grinds you down. It's so demoralizing when you're on the other side and realize I'm out of breath. I got nothing left in the tank, so I'm not going to be able to get a pass rush because I got to go up against Lane and Mailata and Mekhi Becton and Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens. I'm telling you, the rush thing doesn't scare me a lick. We got a team that can go out there and whoop ass. And I'm not running away from that. I feel very confident in this group. No matter how it looks early, they get the job done. And they are better than the Packers. I don't even think it's close. The Packers can't win against playoff teams to save their life. While all I watched was the Eagles go to Baltimore, go to L.A., beat Pittsburgh. The list goes on and on. Their one loss during the backstretch happened because you lose your quarterback. CJ gets kicked out. Josh Sweat got hurt. Who else got banged up in there? One of your defensive tackles got banged up too, if I remember correctly. There was all sorts of wonkiness. And if Devontae Smith catches a football, you win the game still, even with all the hectic nonsense that occurred throughout the 4 quarters. So all I'm trying to figure out is where the fan base is with the quarterback. I feel they can get it done even if Jalen does start out the gate slow based off of the track record. What say you? 215-592-9494. I want you guys to hear some audio, though. Let's take a listen to the offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, who one day ago talked about maybe the rust with Jalen, and this is what the OC had to say.
Any concern about rust with Jalen after not playing for most of 3 games?
No. I think our guys do an excellent process here as far as, you kind of let the medical side take care of their business, and, we do our side of it as far as anything we can do to help anticipate this.
All right, so that's the offensive coordinator. Now, let's listen to the head coach who was asked about Jalen while he was away and some things he could potentially work on if there was anything that Jalen did spend time on throughout these last few weeks. Here's Nick Sirianni.
In his time away, did you give him any kind of project to look forward to with the future opponents? I know he didn't know the Packers until Sunday.
He's always working on different things and getting himself ready to play the opponent and getting himself, self-scouting things. He constantly works at that.
I think it's okay if they do start out slow, which is kind of ludicrous. And I wouldn't feel this confident about it in every season. Most of the times, I go, well, what you don't want to do is put yourself behind the 8 ball, right? What you don't want to do is dig yourself in such a hole, and it takes too much to overcome that issue and that adversity. But not this team. This group has something that is so overwhelming as 53 men, okay? As every single man is listed on this roster, they have something as a team that is overwhelming that others can't compete against when you get out there on the football field throughout the length of the entire game. The sample size is telling you everything you need to know. Look at how much those yards per carry with Saquon Barkley, all of that, it matters. It's draining. All they do is win. So slow start or not, this team is going to be fine. This team is going to smack Green Bay right in the face. They're going to take a Timberland steel-toe boot and knock out their 2 front teeth with a nasty kick. And I can't wait. I need my hand in the dirt right now. 215-592-9494. That's where we begin. Would love to get your thoughts on this. How do you feel about Jalen and the potential rust factor? Is that going to be the end-all, be-all? Or are you like me, where you feel even if it is the case, come on, man. Come on. This team's a juggernaut. Do not devalue their greatness. I feel strongly about it. Let's go to Kenny to kick things off in East Oak Lane. What's happening, Kenny?
Hey, what's up, Brodes?
What's happening?
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. So what I think that Nick Sirianni and the Eagles are doing is playing psychological warfare with the Packers, right? Because he's limited in practice today. He's been out for a month. They don't know what's going on. Heck, we don't know what's going on with Jalen. But we do know that Jordan Love is going to be there come playoff Sunday. So we know what to prepare for. They don't know what to prepare for. They don't know if the kid is coming in. They don't know if, so – and in the Art of War, it says the warrior goes to war first, and then when they get there, they seek to win, right? So I think I'm not worried about Jalen at all. I'm not worried about if they start off slow because we did it all season and only lost 3 games. We only lost 1 because of 2 drops. But it is what it is. I'm not scared at all. I think it's going to be a good game. But like you said, if they make the adjustments halftime, I'm really not concerned at all. I'm not.
Yeah, I feel that. And when you think about how Green Bay is able to push the ball downfield, that weapon in Watson is not available for them, and that's someone who does give them the explosive plays that Green Bay relies on. And if you remove that from the equation, I trust Vic Fangio to stop the Packers' run game, which is solid. It's not insanely overwhelming, but it's solid. Without Watson on the field, it only gets easier to stop the run, and there's no way Vic Fangio is going to get torched with Jordan Love and no deep threat. I can't see that happening, Kenny.
At all. And the biggest thing that could have happened was them getting rest. Those dogs on the defense getting rest, and they did that, and that offensive line got rest, and Jalen's rested. Listen, we didn't get a bye week, but we got a bye week. I can't wait. I think it's going to be great. It's 1 week at a time, and, I'm not scared at all. I'm not worried. You know what I'm saying? I kind of have that feeling that I had in 2017, man. It's scary. I really think they're going to do it this year, man. I really do.
Good. I love that you had that feeling. And thank you, Kenny. I appreciate your phone call because I have that feeling too. I don't know how else you can enter this other than belief because these are the type of teams that you need to really open up your heart and realize it's not fool's gold. You're not going in there, all due respect to some of these most recent Sixers teams, but yeah, we go in with blind faith a lot because we want them to do well. But there's a difference between entering a postseason run where you want them to do well and then they deserve all your respect in the world knowing that you have a special team that will do well. And that's this group. And think about this. I'm even giving them the benefit of the doubt because they earned it and because I've seen them win this way so much that even if their most important player struggles in the first quarter getting things cooking, they're still going to handle business because they're that great. Jalen not playing for a month, maybe you see signs of the ball being a tick out of place, where it's a tad behind AJ. We also don't know, though, if that does happen, don't you think AJ's still going to catch it? My man doesn't drop footballs. He doesn't. He's got a phenomenal catch rate. Even if you are a hair off with timing, with delivering the football where it needs to be, when it needs to be there. Who's to say AJ doesn't win his matchup? Who's to say AJ doesn't have a favorable one-on-one matchup because the Packers have to stack the box and focus on 26 because you can't let the Eagles establish the run at all because that's an obvious game breaker. So you have to dare Jalen to beat you. And what if Jalen, even through his rust, can do enough to put it in an area for AJ to go cook his matchup? Because guess what? I don't think I'm being outrageous to assume that that can be the case and the execution could be there at a high enough clip. So, all I'm saying is I'm getting goosebumps here thinking about a big win at the Link with 60,000 people going nuts rooting on this squad, and that place is going to be so electric. I'm going to have all sorts of hair sticking up on my arms just watching the opening intro on TV. 4:30. They show the outside of the Link from a drone.
Show 4th and 26.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, my gosh. Akers field goal. Oh.
Yes, we get some big moments. And then you're going to add this big moment into the mix as well because Jalen's going to provide us what we need. He is. Look, there's even a chance where he's just dialed in and locked in right from the rip. There's a chance that he doesn't even have any sort of rust and he just goes out there and is the Jalen Hurts that we witnessed against the Washington Commanders before he took that hit because the Eagles were on pace to win by 80. The Eagles were on pace to just absolutely crush everything the Commanders had and rob them in blind daylight. Don't lose sight of that. So it's very well possible that his greatness just occurs as soon as kickoff happens, and then we're not sweating it out a bit. But maybe we do sweat out the first quarter, and we go, all right, one of these. But I don't want to hear any sort of ridiculous comments 8 minutes into the game as if this puppy's over. Because if this team and this quarterback has shown you anything, once they get their groove, and they do get their groove, it's over. It's over. They destroy you in every area. Vic Fangio's defense. The outlier is what happened when Kenny Pickett had to come in against the Commanders in that fourth quarter. More times than not, Zach Bond is playing like his hair's on fire. Although he might be bald. I don't think he's got hair. But if he did have hair, he'd be playing like his hair's on fire. And same with Jalen Carter and everybody else. So I don't have a worry in the world. Let's go to Doug in Bridgeton. What's up, Doug?
Hello. I think you guys are downplaying the real reason that the Eagles are where they are. There's 5 players that are on defense between Jalen Carter, Zach Bond, which I don't know how the heck Vic figured out how to pick him up, but with Cooper DeJean and even on the offensive line. How can Jordan Maleta not be in the Pro Bowl? And it's a magical team we've got right now.
It is. No, listen, it is, Doug, and I agree. The defense is magical. I think the point here, Doug, as we talk through this is they're just so good in so many different areas. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Zach Bond, Jalen Carter, Lane Johnson, Mailata, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown. The Packers can't keep up pace with that. They just can't. If one area struggles, Doug, there's going to be 3 other areas that are just doing their job at such a crazy clip. The Packers won't be able to figure it out over the 4 quarters. I don't see a way.
Yeah. No, and you know what? You got to focus on Zach Bond. I don't know where that guy came from. I don't know how the heck how we picked him up for the minimal amount of money that he paid the guy. But you gotta throw your hat to him. And then the way Cooper DeJean just shows up and just torments people is unbelievable.
I know. He picked up Derrick Henry and threw him back 7 yards, Doug. I've never seen anything like it. So let me ask
And
you
he's
this,
just-
Doug, real quick. I'm curious your stance on the quarterback, because I know you love the defense, and reasonably so. But when we discuss Jalen Hurts, do you have a lot of fear that he will come out of the gate slow? And if he does, do you think that that's going to be enough for this team to fail? Or can they somehow overpower that until Jalen gets back into the flow, seeing some snaps?
Oh no, McKee will step right up and take the team forward.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying Jalen's getting injured here. I'm saying if he starts out slow, what do you think they're going to sit
You know what?
Jalen mid-game?
I'm just saying
Dog.
that they have a terrific backup.
Well, their backup on the list today, according to the beat reporters at practice, was Kenny Pickett getting the secondary snaps.
And that troubles me.
Why?
But he hasn't really shown me anything.
He just balled out before. He did that with broken ribs. He balled out.
Yeah, but when McKee came in, he threw 4 passes in his first game.
We can't do this, Doug. Doug, we can't do this. He's a third-string quarterback. We can't do this.
He threw 4 passes, and 2 were for touchdowns.
Yeah, what does that mean?
He had the highest quarterback rating.
Stop it. Doug, got to let you go. Can't do it. That's my rule. Can't do it. I'm talking about Jalen. I'm trying to win a Super Bowl. We can't be talking about Tanner McKee when the eye is on the prize of winning a championship. I'm sorry. Kenny Pickett should be number 2. He should be second on the list in the depth chart. But Jalen Hurts is number 1. I said, think about this. I just said, do you feel confident in this group to still win a game if Jalen starts out slow? And his response was, yeah, of course, because Tanner McKee. Oh, whoa. Oh, no. No. I'm not going down that road. Can't do it. Let's go to Anthony in Southwest Philly. What's up, Ant?
Hey, man, that's hilarious, man.
Listen, you never know what you're going to get on these airwaves, Ant.
No, you don't. You don't. Hey, I don't know if you hear this at home a lot, man, but you're like a breath of fresh air, man. I'm telling you.
Well, let me tell you, my wife does not say that, so no, I don't hear it at home.
Listen, I called in earlier. I speak to Ike. I speak to Ike and Spike and Jack on a regular basis, man. And I call into you from time to time as well. When I don't have things to do with my kids. But let me tell you this: it's all. I was just telling my boy this the other day. I've learned to love listening to you more, because when you got to listen to Ike. To Spike, complain about Jalen Hurts for hours on the show and how he's not that good and how he's a very average quarterback and all that stuff. It's just good to hear a realistic take on a guy who has proven that he can win. Yes, he still has some things to prove in the playoffs, but a lot of guys do.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you. I think that this team is primed to win and win right now. And if Jalen starts off slow in that game, I'm not concerned. And I'm not concerned because of all the things that you said, which is we have every piece that you need to win. If one thing's not ticking exactly the way you need it to, we can pick up the pieces in other places. So, yeah, no concern for me at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. And thank you for the kind words. I love Spike. But during one of the breaks, we were talking about it. And I said, Spike, this is how it has to go with Jalen. You can't obsess over the numbers. He might go out there and throw 19 of 27 for 201 yards and then go rush for 50 yards, 4 total touchdowns, and it be elite. But the box score won't say that, but he takes over and commands the control of the game the way others do, but the box score just doesn't reflect it the same way because he just wins. And he gave me that look like I'm crazy, but that's what Jalen, you can't compare Jalen to other QBs because he's sort of in that rare little, look, I'm not saying he's rare in regards to Pat Mahomes, but I'm saying his way of doing it is such an outlier that there's nobody else like it. It's not like Lamar. It's not like Josh Allen. It's not like Mahomes. But his style is just unique, and you got to appreciate it for what it is. That's all.
You have to. And at the end of the day, listen, I told, Spike this earlier, right? I'm a basketball guy. I sit on the basketball side. I'm almost 7 foot tall, played basketball all my life, right? So I kind of equate Jalen to this, right? I played with great point guards in my life, and I played with some really, really good point guards, right? The difference is, you got point guards and then you got point guards, right? So you look at a guy like a Rajon Rondo, you look at guys like Chris Paul, you look at guys like Jason Kidd, Magic Johnson. These are guys who didn't have to score a point and can still dominate a game because they could do it in so many different ways. When I look at Jalen, can he throw the ball? He's shown us. Go back and look at the Super Bowl 2022. Go back and look at other games where he needed to do it. He can do it. But he is a jack of all trades and the ultimate winner because he wants to win at all costs. It doesn't have to be him being the guy. What does it take to win? Show me that, and let's go make that the main thing. That's what I love about this guy.
You're right. And I got goosebumps, dude. Appreciate your call. Got goosebumps over here thinking about Jalen. Come on, man. Give me some playoff football, baby. Give me some playoff football. 215-592-9494. That's the phone number as we get started on this evening program here. How do you feel about Jalen Hurts and the rust factor? Because it will essentially be almost a month until he finally takes snaps in a real game for a full game. His last full game was almost a month ago once we get to Sunday. I don't have a worry in the world because I trust this team. I trust Nick Sirianni. I trust Vic Fangio. I trust Saquon. I trust Jalen. I trust all of them. Even if there is a little bit of ugliness in the beginning of the game or at any point during the game, they're great, and their greatness is going to show and overpower any sort of rust. What say you? What to watch for is brought to you by Xfinity Mobile, the sponsor of WIP's Xfinity Mobile Lounge. Xfinity Mobile customers now get exclusive access to Wi-Fi speeds up to a gig on the go. What to watch for tonight? How about a little college hoops? Villanova is hosting the top 10 UConn Huskies tonight, so something to watch for. All right, to the phones we go. 215-592-9494. Let's go to Chuck in Tampa. What's happening, Chuck?
Hey, buddy, I wish you'd get your own show and be on all the time.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You know who you remind me of? Did you ever hear of Rod Luck?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, well, Google him when you get home. He was here for a while. Years ago.
Okay.
And he was great, too. But anyway, I called you in Devon, and I told you what the Eagles did with Barkley was a coward move.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes, I do.
But I agree wholeheartedly what you're saying, what you're putting out there. And I don't understand why everybody thinks everybody's nervous and this and that about Jalen Hurts. That kid, all he does is win. That's all this kid does is win. What do they want?
I know. You know what I think it is, Chuck? I think it's some version of past failures coming back, bad feelings coming back. I think it's just a defensive mechanism in a way to get all worked up. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it seems like, and I don't know if it's just because the way the Super Bowl went, but it seems like people take pride in being the underdog and being doubted. Well, don't get me wrong. I think there is some sort of motivation that can factor into a team in a locker room, and that's the case. But I love being the top dog, Chuck. I like being the team that's going for your neck, that's going for the jugular. I want to be the team that everybody's afraid of, and hearing others discuss how they have to try and stop Saquon and AJ and Jalen Carter and hearing the fear in their voices knowing the Eagles are sensational. That's where I want to be as a sports fan. And now that we have that, you got to soak it in and make that your personality as a fan base. And people are running away from it, Chuck.
I don't understand it. Not with this group. This offensive line is just massive. They just wear you out. And after 3/4 of a guy laying all over you, you just figure, get this guy off me. I can't take it no more.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Chuck, you're right. Yeah. And thank you for the call. I appreciate it. One thing I think is hysterical is if you are a defensive lineman and it's the first quarter, it's the second quarter, you can't get home, you're not generating enough pressure, and you realize that Mekhi Becton and Landon Dickerson and Maya Lotta are there. Well, if you can't get home early, let me tell you something. You're not getting home late. You're not getting home late. Because once we start pounding the rock, once you see Cam Jurgens in the secondary almost outrunning Saquon and pushing people back 8 yards with his forearm and planting you into the dirt and stepping all over your chest, you're toast. The interesting thing about the fan base, though, is exactly what I just laid out. All we ever want to be is fantastic. All we ever want to strive for is to be the best team in the NFL. Then when you have a team like this, you're scared. You're walking into this matchup as if the Green Bay Packers have a shot to beat you. They don't. At the Link? Come on, man. January football? When it's cold outside? When there's snow on the ground? I get it. Lambeau Field has snow. Green Bay plays cold. Blah, 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 blah. No. In this stadium, playoff football in this stadium where we eat you alive, the Packers don't have a shot. The Packers are a team that, think of it this way. They play in the NFC, right? They definitely have a tough division in the NFC North. I wanted to make sure I said NFC North there. They play in a tough division in the NFC North with Minnesota and with the Detroit Lions. Some are using that to say that Green Bay's actually better than their record indicates, because if they were to play in any other division, they'd have more wins. I see it completely different. I see it where they went 0-4 against Minnesota and Detroit. If they were capable of beating those teams, you'd sneak one in. You'd sneak one in. You'd be 1-3. Or hell, 2-2. But they can't because they are not on their level. And guess who is on their level? The Philadelphia Eagles. So Green Bay has had opportunity after opportunity to try and make a stand about how they can compete with teams at the top of the NFC, and they have failed not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, no, 5 times actually, because they played the Eagles as well, and they're 0-5 against these teams, allowing 30 points per game. We are not the same. And I just want to make sure that's being emphasized, that this Eagles team is so much better than the Packers that if Jalen Hurts does seem to struggle out of the gate, I have no fear in the world because the team is better than the Packers by a long shot. And you're going to see that on Sunday. I'm not worried a lick. I mean, I haven't felt this confident in a long time. And I felt pretty confident over these last few weeks. I said the same thing about Dallas. It was going to be a rout. It was going to be a blowout. Yeah, but they won 4 or 5, Brodes. Yeah, I'll tell you where to shove that. I mean, come on. Won 4 out of 5. Oh, Dallas. Cooper Rush is playing better. Come on, man. Stiff. Eagles put up 41 and overwhelmed them. Guess what's going to happen against Green Bay? Let's go to Kevin in Germantown. What's up, Kev?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up?
Talking about them Eagles, I'm taking Green Bay. I think they have it. I don't think the Eagles have a chance just because I don't think Hurts is going to play.
He is playing. He's playing.
I don't know. I don't know about the protocol. I was in Green Bay. I was that one person out there voting for Green Bay to take it. I was that protocol.
Okay. All right. Anything else you got?
Yeah, hopefully, of course I want the Eagles to win to keep going.
It doesn't sound like you feel like you want the Eagles to win at all, actually.
I always do. I always do want the Eagles, but I think the key to the game is power run the ball, sort of fullback like Dallas did, but to the opposite side, maybe key on throwing it out to the tight end to open up maybe a play action to the receivers. I think it's the key to running it, getting 5 yards and going, not going for the big ones all the time. More power running this week.
I mean, they've been running the football with Saquon Barkley all year long.
I know that, but it's going to be a tough game, just like the first time they played Green Bay. I think you have to flare it out to Goddard, whoever the tight ends can be. Other than that, inside, outside, and open it up maybe for receivers to play action. Get it to there where of course you're going to use Saquon because, like I said, he's getting the ball 400 times this year.
But you think they're going to lose?
It's going to be tough unless, I swear that
you said you're betting Green Bay.
I'm taking them over the money line.
That's a disgrace as an Eagles fan, Kev.
My heart's with the Eagles.
No, it's not. I'm sorry. It's not. It's not. Your heart's not with the Eagles.
That's not true.
You don't bet the Packers. Come on. That is a joke. Once again, you can spend your money however you want to spend your money. You're going to sit here and tell me and tell the fan base you got all the appreciation in the world with your heart being all in on the Eagles, yet you bet Packers money line. Whoa. This is almost a recovery spot for me. I need to recover from that.